Hello there, my name is Kathy. I am a 57-year-old aspiring bikini bodybuilding athlete. And I am going to spend 1 month doing a video blog of my eating habits, trying to hit my macros assigned to me by my coach. And I think that hitting my macros consistently is probably one of the things that I have to work on the most in, seeing if I'm actually a potential bikini bodybuilding athlete, because you got to be willing to hit your macros, or at least most of the time, in order to be successful and to actually change your body. And I am also making this little blog because I have clients who are not aspiring bikini bodybuilding athletes, but are people who have goals for their health, goals for their weight, just goals in general, where tracking their macros or just being more aware of what the heck macros are and how they might even just want to gauge them on even a way, kind of less intense way, but just need to learn about them. And maybe you could learn something by watching me over the month, because I will say that bikini bodybuilding athletes, they take their macros really seriously and they try to hit them really specifically. You don't need to hit them that specifically, especially if your goals are just more for general health or fitness, or even weight loss, but just, you want a little bit less intense approach. So I'm not sure if I'm truly a good match for the intensity of the kind of tracking that the successful athletes do, but I'm gonna give it a bigger, better shot this month than I have in the past. And so I'm hoping that just what I'm learning and what I'm going to be struggling with might be helpful to you. So I also have a free Facebook group for women who want to age as healthfully as possible. It's called Intentional Living and Longevity, Forever Fitness for Agile and Adventurous Aging. So I'm having a challenge in that Facebook group in May of 2024. It's a 2-week challenge. It starts on May 2nd, and but in addition to just that challenge, the challenge is called Macros in May. So that's what gave me the idea to take the whole month of May for myself and kind of document my macro journey for that month. So I have a coach for my goals, for my, she's a successful bikini bodybuilding athlete herself, and I'm just, of course, like I said, an aspiring one who's never competed before. And again, I keep saying, I'm not sure I have the chops for it to be an actual competitive athlete, but we will see what happens this month. I've been working with her for, gosh, has it been 9 months now? And I've gone through different phases of trying to maintain, a little bit trying to reverse, which is to eat more and kind of build. And now I'm in my first, what's called a cut, which is trying to lose weight, trying to lose fat. And so that's why adhering to these macros is even more important than when you're trying to build in a building phase. I think I shouldn't be talking about exactly what I know about being an athlete, but I'm just, since I'm so new at it. But so I'm going to document the whole month of May, and I'm going to use it in my Facebook group to help my clients there. And also I'm going to be sharing it with my email list and all my YouTube subscribers, because I just want to see if it's helpful to you. So here we are on May 1st of 2024. My weight this morning was 138.4. And I'm going to also probably be sharing my photos from 2 days ago, my check-in. I check in with my coach every Monday, and I have to upload my photos and my measurements and my weight for the whole week leading up to it. I weigh myself daily. But here I am at work. So again, this is imperfect. The reason why I'm making this video blog, or just doing this, is because if you don't just do it, you don't do it, right? So I can't wait for perfect circumstances. So here I am at work, and I'm just taking a few minutes before the workday starts. And so I'm just going to show you again. I said right now, just for documenting sake, 138.4. This is me in kind of my work attire. I get to dress kind of comfortable here. I'm the director of a senior center in a recreation department in Montgomery County, Maryland. And so I'm going to be documenting what I eat and how I'm doing with hitting my macros. 138.4 today. My goal is a cut, so I'm trying to lose a little bit of fat, and that's because my happy place, when my clothes fit and I feel better about myself, even when I'm not trying to be a bikini bodybuilding athlete is more like 132, 133, 134, in the low 130s. I was at 128 for about a minute last summer when I was really, I guess you say cutting hard, when I was really at lower calories and trying to diet. But again, what I'm learning from being in this world of the bikini bodybuilding athletes is that you can't constantly diet. That's not good for you. It's not good for your metabolism. It's not good for your hormones. You need to go through phases, sometimes where you're more strict than others. And everything's a phase. And, the building phase is really important. If you're not eating enough calories and enough good quality food with those calories, you're not going to be able to build muscle. And sometimes just losing fat is not where it's at, because you want the muscle underneath to be strong and shapely, and that's what determines your shape is your muscle. And so many of us need to build muscle, and again, not for athletic purposes, but just to be healthy and just to be agile and just to, again, age as healthfully as possible and be able to do all the things that you want to do for your active aging. So tracking macros is not just for athletes. Tracking macros, or it can be for anyone. And so when you learn from this video blog over the next month or so, just take what might work for you, what is applicable to you, which is just being a little more aware. When I work with new clients for the first time who've never tracked macros before, I kind of compare it to like a kid or any person actually who never wore glasses and suddenly went to the eye doctor and got glasses, and then they put the glasses on. You're like, oh my gosh, look at the detail on those leaves. Look at how everything is so sharp. It's a brand new world once you're really aware of what the heck you're eating. A lot of times when most of us are trying to just kind of ballpark things, we're really missing the mark, I will say. So tracking long-term, or tracking with real specific measurements, is not for everyone and doesn't need to be for everyone. But tracking, even for a couple of days, is an enormous eye-opening experience. So if that's what you learned from this, is just being a little more aware of what macros are and how they might aid you on your journey, then I hope this is helpful. So stay tuned. The month of May. Let's start this video blog with what the heck macros are and what my macros are that have been prescribed for me by my coach that I'm trying to hit. So again, we're doing this just the informal way that I can just do quickly so I can get it out here. So I just jotted down here about what macros are, and you can kind of just look along. So macros are a nickname for macronutrients, the three main sources of calories that we take in. And those are carbohydrate, protein, and fat. So carbohydrate is our main source of energy. It's the best source of energy. And a lot of times people think they should be eating, air quotes, low carb. But really, for most people, especially athletes, but just people in general, we need carbs. They are good for us. It's how we get our energy. But we tend to have too many of them, and we tend to sometimes have the wrong kinds of them that make our blood sugar spike too quickly, or that are empty calories. But they have 4 calories for every gram of carbohydrate. And the next macro is protein, and protein is the building block of our muscle and all of the other kind of tissues in our body. So it's not so much something that we eat for energy, it's more for a building block. And there are also 4 calories for every gram of protein. The last macro is fat, and fat is something that our bodies need for insulation and for storage of fat-soluble vitamins and for so many other things. We used to think we needed to eat really low fat, but back in the day when we were eating really low fat, a lot of times it was replaced by sugar. Like a lot of the fat-free foods just ended up being loaded with sugar, which is a carbohydrate, and we still ended up with the same amount of calories and having our blood sugars get up and down and spiked all over the place because we were eating so much sugar when we were purposely trying to cut so much fat. So, we do need to keep fat in our lives and in our diets, but we just don't want to have too much, because too much fat is not good for our hearts or our health, and the calories add up way too quickly when we have a lot of fat in our diet, because as you can see, fat has 9 calories per gram, and which is more than double of carbohydrates and protein. So you can see that having a high fat diet would end up adding up with way too many calories really, really fast. So now let's look at what my coach has prescribed for me. She has prescribed for me a macro split of 200 carbohydrates a day, 135 grams of protein every day, and 50 grams of fat every day. Now, you need to keep in mind that that is specific to me, to my goals, to my current weight, to the current kind of rate that my body tends to gain or lose weight, and just the different nutrients that I need for a 57-year-old woman who happens to weigh 138.4 and happens to have a certain kind of ratio of fat to muscle already on my body and already has a certain kind of habit of exercising a certain amount and burning a certain amount of calories. So you are going to have a different body size and different goals and different existing activity habits and different nutritional needs. So by no means should you be watching this video thinking, oh, I think I'm just gonna get, set a goal for 200 carbs, 135 protein, and 50 fat. The goal of this video blog is to teach you how you would track macros and how someone would try to, quote, air quotes, hit their macros. What your specific macro split should be is not at all the purpose of this video blog. So given that I'm trying to do 200, 135, 50, let's see how that adds up for someone in more traditional kind of what you're used to for weight loss tracking. First of all, we're so used to calories, right? Knowing how many calories someone should eat in a day. And a lot of times women who are dieting, they seem to default with this number 1,200. Like, where did that come from? We should eat 1,200 calories a day. Well, that's way too low for most people, most women. It would tend to cause your metabolism to just run too slow, and it doesn't really give you enough nutrition at all. Maybe someone who has a really small body size and is not very active, 1,200 calories a day might be sufficient, but for a lot of people, it's just way too low. So you can see that I did the quick math here, and I did it longhand so you could really just see and absorb and understand better. At the very top, it says 200 times 4, 135 times 4, 50 times 9. Remember, there's 4 calories per every gram of carbohydrate and protein and 9 calories per gram for fat. So if you multiply 200 times 4, then I'm supposed to have about 800 calories a day from carbohydrates. And then 135 times 4 means I'm supposed to have about 540 calories per day of protein. And then I'm supposed to have about 450 calories per day of fat, since I'm supposed to have 50 grams. So that adds up to 1,790. So you can see that my approximate calories per day that I'm supposed to be having is almost 1,800 calories a day, 1,790 to be exact. Okay, but again, 10 calories, we're not, so we know that I'm averaging around 1,800 calories a day. And then, we also hear about what percentage of our diet should be carbohydrates, protein, and fat. And that can vary based on your goals and based on some unique things about each individual, but my macro split has me at about 45% carbohydrate, 30% protein, and 25% fat. So as you can see, because if you divided my 800 calories a day that I'm getting from carbohydrates, or supposed to get from carbohydrates, divide that by my total calories a day, 1,790, that's what gives you the 45%. And then you can look at that. I also did the same thing for the protein and for the fats. So 540 divided by 1,790 is 30% protein, and then 450 divided by 1,790 is 25% fat. So that's what my goals are, is to have about 45% carbs, 30% protein, and 25% fat. Let's take you up now to my computer screen where I have the MyFitnessPal app open. And so I put in here my daily calories of 1,790, and then I put in there that I wanted 45% carbs, 25% protein, and I'm sorry, it has the order changed there. 25% fat and the 30% protein. So look at how it defaulted there. It says 201 grams of carbs, 50 grams of fat, 134 of protein. So somehow it calculated a gram different. But that's still good enough for That's still good enough for me for the tracking purposes of using the app. And then over here, the micronutrients, it has this as its default, what I should be targeting for saturated fat, cholesterol, sodium, potassium, fiber, sugar, and some of the vitamins. I have those, I have those micronutrients kind of defaulted, the ones that I'm trying to make sure I kind of know about what I'm taking in. So, and let's switch on over to, let's see. This was my breakfast. I'm just going to show you my breakfast so far. And another video where I'm actually showing myself, I'll show you how I make these packets. This is one of my most common breakfasts that I eat. And this is my little oatmeal packets that I keep in the freezer. So I have a half a cup of regular Quaker oats. And then I always add a scoop of collagen powder because that's an extra good source of protein. You can see I have 19 grams of protein in that collagen powder for one scoop. And then a little bit of light brown sugar because see what happened there? A little bit of sugar because, you know, I need a little bit of sweetness to this. And then blueberries. You know, you've probably heard that blueberries are like a superfood, but, you know, I'm measuring them out, just quarter cup there. A tablespoon of walnuts, which is a healthy source of fat, but not too much fat. I recognized when I started measuring them out that, you know, pecans had like double the fat and calories as walnuts. And so, and then chia seeds is also just something that has some extra nutrients and adds a little bit more interest to it. So you can see that my typical breakfast is 308 calories, 26 grams of protein, 7 grams of fat. And gosh, it's not showing the carbs right there, but it will on my add up when I add it all up for the day. So that is an example of how I started my day, what I've already eaten on the morning of this first day of this vlog. This is one of my really frequent dinners that I have. So it's a big hearty salad. So it's about 2 cups of romaine lettuce. This is 1 Roma tomato chopped up. I put my croutons on here in advance so you could see how you have to measure them out. 6 croutons is a serving, according to the macros that I have been calculating, and that's half of an avocado. This over here was 3 ounces of shredded chicken, but look, now it says 2.9. It said 3.0 a second ago, so you can see how that changes. I like to put barbecue sauce on it, but I'm using the sugar-free barbecue sauce because that's way lower in carbs. I don't want to just spend carbs on barbecue sauce, so I like to taste this one. So, but you know, a tablespoon is not very much. I would love to add double of this, and so depending on what my macros are for a particular time, see, I want to scrape all that out when I'm done filming because I don't want to leave any of what I get to have. I'm going to add that on here. I'm going to stir it up. And then, oh yeah, a quarter cup of black beans. Again, I would love to have even more black beans in this, but it's again something that the carbs just add up pretty darn quickly. And then when for dressing, I always use this seasoned rice vinegar instead of a dressing that has fat in it, because when it mixes with the avocado, it creates the creaminess of a dressing. The fat from the avocado is like the fat from a dressing. So I've got protein, I've got fiber, I've got healthy vegetables. So again, if I were to dump this on here, my chicken with the barbecue sauce, I'm going to stir that barbecue sauce all up, and I do about a tablespoon of this rice vinegar. Only it's 15 calories for total sugars, which is 4 carbs for a tablespoon. But again, when you're just, that's about a tablespoon. I was going to try and measure everything for this video, but you know, when you don't measure things, it adds up pretty quick, way more than you thought. For my plan right now, I'm on 200 carbs a day. So you can see that if I were to use 2 tablespoons, let's take a look at this sugar-free barbecue sauce, another example here. So it's got 4 carbs. So do I want to use up 8? To make sure it is, oh, wait, look, a serving is 2 tablespoons. Wow, I get another whole tablespoon for 4. It's only 2 carbs for a tablespoon. So guess what? I'm putting another tablespoon on here. As soon as I turn this video off, so I'm holding this, which is silly. So I'm doing one-handed filming here. So yay, 2 tablespoons of barbecue sauce. Hey, let's take a look. The big old regular one, where is it? It's upside down. Here. So regular barbecue sauce, let's see what that is. 18 grams of carbs for 2 tablespoons. So 18 versus 4, look at all that, 17 grams of sugar in barbecue sauce, 2 tablespoons. So that is quite a lot. And you know, when you see other stuff on places, that's how macros add up. So bon appetit, here's my dinner with an extra tablespoon of barbecue sauce. I mixed in my 2nd tablespoon of that barbecue sauce, and before I eat it, I wanted to mention another quick tip, because you know what, the sugar-free barbecue sauce sometimes isn't the best tasting thing in the world all by itself. So one of my little tips is sometimes I kind of go half and half, maybe half of a serving of regular barbecue sauce and a half of the sugar-free, or just a little extra little squirt of the one that's not sugar-free, just to have a little extra sugar. So, you know, depending on what macros you have to spend, that's how you do it. You kind of budget it and you kind of make trade-offs where it's important to you. These are my oatmeal packets that I make for the morning, and I batch make these probably for 2 or even 3 weeks at a time. So this is a half a cup of oats with a scoop of collagen powder, a tablespoon of walnuts, a dash of cinnamon, there's a teaspoon of chia seeds, and there's also a little bit of brown sugar and a 1/4 cup of frozen blueberries. So I keep these in the freezer since the blueberries are frozen, and every morning I get it out and I put it in usually this great big soup mug. A small one won't do because it'll bubble over, but I pour this in here and then I cover it with water just a little bit higher than the oatmeal, and I put it in the microwave for 2.5 minutes. And that's how I like it. I don't like it soupy. It has to cook up a little bit, and it has to sit for a bit too. But I keep these in the freezer, and I just pull one out every morning during the week. And a lot of times on the weekends, I am more likely to have some kind of eggs, which is usually 2 egg whites with 1 egg, whole egg, and then a little bit of Parmesan cheese, and then a whole lot of broccoli. So I have a separate video on that. I'll talk about that another time. But I wanted to show the breakfast packet because I'm about to pack my lunchbox for tomorrow. And since this is still part of the day 1 video, this is what I had for during the day today. So I'm repacking my lunchbox because I eat pretty similar foods Monday through Friday for mid-morning snack, lunch, and afternoon snacks. So the first thing I start with after breakfast, so I've had using my oatmeal for breakfast for my macros. The next one is I have 2 plain rice cakes and 2 Brazil nuts. And I make a whole bunch of these little packets too because it's 2 and 2, and otherwise I might eat too many Brazil nuts. So I like to have them just a few. And then I also have a baggie that I always make, a bunch of bags like this that has baby carrots and sugar snap peas and grape tomatoes. I don't always have all 3, especially the sugar snap peas are hard to find. Can't always get them at every grocery store. But I make these packs for my morning snack, and then my yogurt. So the yogurt that I like right now is the Chobani Zero Sugar, and that's because the macros for that are, it's only 60 calories, 0 fat, and 5 grams of carbs, and 12 grams of protein. So really good macros, and I like the taste. I was using a couple of the other brands of low sugar or zero sugar, and someone told me they liked this one better, and I tried it and I agreed. So this one is toasted coconut vanilla, and yum. I only like a couple of the flavors, but that's one of the ones I like. So this is my mid-morning snack, and then my lunch is this meal prepped sweet potato, black bean, lentil, chili with quinoa. And I make a big crock pot of this. That's Badger saying hello. I make a big crock pot of this maybe once a month or maybe less. And it makes the whole crock pot's like 13 servings. So I'll make this and freeze a bunch of them. And then lately, the past year or so, when I've been trying to increase my protein, I add some chicken. So sometimes it's a quick way, sometimes it's more homemade way, but this is these 25% less sodium little chicken packets that I buy, and I can toss one of these in. So when I'm at work, this will thaw out. So actually, this is another of my little tips. Instead of just sticking this into my lunchbox, I used to do that, and occasionally there was a little hole in here, and next thing you know, it got all over. So I take it, I kind of wrap it in a tea towel, and then in a bigger gallon Ziploc bag, an old one, one I keep using all the time. And then this goes into my lunchbox. That if it does happen to drip, it will stay inside this. And then this kind of condensation, it kind of softens it. That's my little silly routine for that. So I've got my chili with my chicken packet. And then I said my morning snacks was my veggies and my rice cakes and Brazil nuts and my yogurt. And then my afternoon, oh, forgot my orange. I brought this orange with me today and I didn't eat it because guess what? It wasn't peeled. And when it's not peeled, I just end up bringing it home again. And that gave me, this is 21 grams of carbs, about that I think. So I didn't have, when I got to the end of the day, I still had some carbs left. And so I ended up having 2 caramel rice cakes for dessert. So, you know, hey, fruit with lunch or caramel rice cakes for dessert after dinner are kind of a trade-off for me. But tomorrow I'm putting this in there because I do want to have the fruit instead of the sweet after dinner. If it's peeled, I will eat it. So I'm bringing that with me tomorrow for like dessert from my lunch. And then my afternoon snacks is, this is a 1/4 cup of my favorite trail mix that I get. It's like an antioxidant rich one. It's got walnuts, almonds, sunflower seeds, and little tiny pieces of dried mango and dried cranberries. So I love it. And then a protein shake. I always, whoop, this is just the water. This is just the water, and then here's my protein powder. I just use a chocolate protein powder. And so then this goes in here, and then I stick the whole thing in the fridge overnight. I always make it the night before. And then in the morning, it's ready to go, and I always pack my water bottles with me too. And then I got my lunch. Got my lunch ready. This is my breakfast tomorrow. Putting this back in the freezer, putting this back in the fridge. And then, so when I look at my macros for today, I ended up right around my target of 200 grams of carbs and about 50 of fat and about 135 of protein. So today on day 1 was a pretty good day, and it's pretty predictable. Like when I eat these typical foods, which is kind of my normal on plan breakfast snacks, lunch snacks, and dinner and snacks, I know I'm going to hit my macros. And so for day 1 of my macros in the month of macros, this is what I intended. I wanted to show what a pretty clean day for me would be. That's pretty much on plan. It's my boring, regular stuff I eat. So what's going to be a challenge this whole month is when I start showing what am I going to do on the days that I'm traveling? What am I going to do the days that I have a special occasion? What am I going to do the days when I'm traveling again, this time by airplane? What am I going to do on the days when I got an extra, got extra hungry at work and decided to have, what ended up to be 2 servings worth of pretzels, which are about as healthy as I'm going to get for snagging something that's, when I'm hungry and it's not on plan. But that still is going to use up some of my carbs that I'm supposed to have for my dinner, and then I got to adjust my dinner. Or what happens when I eat all my macros and I'm still hungry at night and I kind of want to have something else, and I try to go for a little tiny handful / tablespoon of cranberries, and then I look at the label like, oh my gosh, I really should have said that was 3 tablespoons I had, not 1, and it put me way over my macros. So there might be days like that to come. But for now, today was a good day for my macros. So signing out at the end of day 1.